with Eddie Jackson and Scott Rockenfield, bass player and drummer from Queensryche. They just got off the boat. We're playing with one of the cruises that went around. Now, how long were you gone on the boat?
It was a 5-day trip.
5-day trip?
Yeah, I left from Fort Lauderdale and cruised through down south towards Costa Maya, Cozumel, Mexico, eastern Mexico, and returned Friday morning back to Fort Lauderdale.
Wow! And how many sets do you do on the boat? Do you just do one, or do you?
We actually performed one on Tuesday night, and then one in the afternoon on Friday, which was actually the Operation Mindcrime set that we had been rehearsing
for. Oh wow! How cool!
But it was a lot of fun. You know, that 2 p.m. came by real fast, especially when we were up late the night before.
I bet.
Yeah, Mindcrime during the day is kind of bizarre.
That is bizarre. Bizarre.
But it was good.
Day crime. Yeah.
We did the same cruise 2 years ago.
Yeah.
The same shiprock thing, you know. So this is our kind of second round, and I think all the bands on this one actually did 2 performances. Most of them did on the.
Yep.
You know, they got multiple levels. There's a deck level where
Right.
you can play outside.
Right.
And then there's a theater, like small version of where we're at today here at
Nice.
Ruth Eckerd. So
Okay.
they have one of those on the boat as well, but. The waters were a little different on this one. It was doing a lot of this. There was a lot of seasick people on this cruise, actually, including people in our families and band members that, you're playing a show and you're like, doing, as the drummer, it's like, wow, that just feels weird.
Right.
And
I'm wondering if people who have seen the band before go, wow, Eddie hasn't moved that much in a long time. It's not really your choice.
Yeah, it was that boat. It was rocking, literally.
It really was.
Yeah.
It's funny because you look at the crowd and they even said the same thing. They felt the same way. When you looked at it, it was like a tennis match. They'd all go like this, and then they'd all go like this. It's like, wow, it's just bizarre.
That is correct.
But it's a lot of fun. And like I said, they invited us back again. We were with Seven Dust and Buck Cherry and Hell Yeah,
Hinder,
and Hinder, and so it was a great collection of
Another Animal.
Of bands, and
wow, that's
you
really
can't hide.
No.
So you just hang out with everybody, the
Right.
fans and all that stuff. And I think we probably know half the boat that was there anyway through our years of playing. And
Perfect.
So it was a lot of fun.
That's great. Well, you guys are right now on tour with the new record, Dedicated to Chaos, and it's a very groove-oriented record. And I was wondering, how did you guys set the tempo for this record, kind of in the writing of it?
Scotty and I usually are responsible for the tempo.
But that really groovy feel in a lot of those songs, it's a lot different than what you've done before.
Yeah, I think this time around we actually did kind of focus on that. For my end of things, I wanted to really explore, as much groove and as much of the drum end of things as possible. And, Eddie and I have had such a long, relationship together in terms of that foundation of the band, the bass and drums kind of concept of everything. And I think we were able to kind of explore that and, expand on it and really make it a big focal point of what we did on the record.
It's really cool. It's one of the very few records that I can think of that every time you listen to it, you hear something new. And that's cool for the listener.
Yeah, right.
Because I listened to it for the last week, and every time there's something new on a different song, just going, wow, I didn't hear that before. That's really fun.
It's funny, we do the same thing when we listen back to our stuff because you're so deep in it when you're doing it, and we're in multiple studios and whatever, so you start listening back to it, and it's like, call up Eddie, like, dude, I didn't even know you played that in that part. That's really cool. You start analyzing your own stuff and then having to try to figure it out. And
right.
But listen, it's been a lot of fun. We've been playing, big portion of it on this, the 30-year anniversary. I mean, not a big portion, but we play, interject a bunch of different songs on any given night. And,
sure.
It's good.
And speaking of being on tour for 30 years, I've always wondered this, since you go around the world, do you get to actually see where you are when you're on tour? Or is it just hotels, venues, bus, gone?
Most of the time, I would say, personally speaking, they might think of it differently, but I notice the majority of the time you do spend a lot of time just focusing on your job, and we could be in Germany somewheres, and we have a show that night, but we have to keep thinking again that it'd be nice to hang out for the day, but we've got another show in some other country the following evening, and the same with the States. You're in a different city every night, sometimes in a different state, but I think it all comes back around, and for all the years we've been touring, we might not have had a day off in Milan, Italy, for 3 or 4 tours, but then that next tour that's approaching, we could have a day off that day.
Sure.
You know, so it all balances. You know,
Yeah.
and you'll get the chance to explore and, you know, really learn all kinds of cultures and.
That's got to be the great
people
part
and,
of it.
yeah.
We have a lot of photos that are taken out of the window of the bus where everything's going by real fast.
Yeah.
You know, that's kind of our photo collection.
Have you been someplace where you've just said to yourself, I got to come back when we're not working?
Yes, there have been some of those for sure.
Like
and we've done a lot. Of,
Yeah.
Definitely. We've, like Eddie said, it's worked out so that a lot of days off have fallen in almost everywhere that we've been. I think over the 30 years. But you know, actually, one place that sticks out to me that I haven't actually been, but I want to go because we were kind of in and out was Singapore. You know, we did just through the airport, had a 12-hour, you know, changeover before the next flight to go somewhere else, but flying in and then meeting the people. I'm so enthralled to go back to Singapore, and we've never played there.
Okay.
And such. So, you know, geez, there's you know, there's just so many. I mean, you know, we travel, kind of what we've been doing.
Yeah.
You said, we've been on the road for 30 years. We're actually going home tomorrow, so we haven't seen our house for 30 years, it seems.
You know, we've been fortunate enough to tour every state in the U.S.
Yeah.
With the exception of Hawaii.
That's right.
We have performed in 49 states. We have been to every state
Right.
in the all 50 states. And the only reason we managed to make a stop in Hawaii is because we were on our way home from Japan. We were there for like a 5.5, almost 6 hours layover there.
Wow.
And otherwise, that was the first time for me. I've never been to Hawaii before, but we have been to every state.
And not
even if it was for only 6 hours in Hawaii,
not
but we
played
have
a show in Hawaii.
We have
So
not
as shocking
performed-
as it seems,
yeah.
there's
That
a
sounds like
couple
bad
places
management
we've
to me.
never been.
It seems like
I'm sure eventually we'll
get
get
there.
that opportunity, you know. But it would be nice to like finish a tour there. That way, you're already there.
Exactly.
And for a week or so. You know?
Exactly, as opposed to Clearwater, Florida.
Hey, this is nice out here, though. You know.
You said it first.
Okay. No,
it's all good.
But we love Clearwater.
We love everywhere we go, and
That's-
we've got fans.
So when you do go home, and you're getting away from the music, what do you do? What are your hobbies?
That's when
What do
we
you
go
like
to work, actually.
Yeah.
Really?
You've got family responsibilities.
Yeah.
You've got yard work. You've got just responsibilities. So out here, this is what we love doing.
Yeah.
But when we get home, it's you're back to reality.
Right.
And you've got responsibilities, and
We
so
actually, a lot of us do other things as well. You know,
Right.
Jeff makes wine. He's got a wine business he's been doing, and most of us have other musical things that we do because we just do that.
Right.
You know?
we're constantly writing music.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and but really, just like Eddie said, kids, families,
Sure.
Domesticism, if that's the actual word. Is that a word?
If it is now.
Golf when we can.
There you go.
Yeah, just kind of, it takes a while to adjust. It's like being in prison or something.
Right.
And then you get out and you're like, I need to go back.
Right.
Because I don't
You've
understand.
been to prison before. You should understand.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. So also now in 30 years of playing, we'll start with Scott. What's your favorite song to play live?
Wow. That's really tough.
Because I saw in the Rush documentary that they just put out that Neil Peart was so surprised that Tom Sawyer was such a big hit, and he says in the documentary that I have to play it every night, but it's such a challenging song. When I play it right, I'm happy. So
It is.
yeah, I bet.
Funny, Eddie and I mess around on a lot of that stuff at sound check, so sometimes those are the funnest songs to play.
Right.
Is the stuff that we don't always do constantly.
Right.
And we mess around on Rush stuff, Def Leppard, just anything that, this Rolling Stones. And that's tough. We get that question a lot. What's your favorite? You
Right.
know? And I don't really have one because every night's always different. You're
Right.
playing a certain song, you're like, wow, I really messed that up.
No.
So that's not my favorite tonight, or
Right.
something else is, I guess they're all just kind of the body of work, Everything we do
that's
is just kind of a big body of
question
work.
to answer.
you know?
I mean, thanks.
Yeah, no problem.
They're all a piece of cake to me.
Yeah, do them in their sleep.
Not at all.
Do them in their sleep. So as the rhythm section, is there, turning it into a sports analogy, are there like in-game adjustments as the set is progressing? Do you guys have to, and I don't know, I don't play either instrument, but we're going too fast, we're going too slow, whatever it is. Do you guys have to do those kind of things during a set?
Absolutely. Oh yeah. because it's live.
Yeah.
I always remember one, and I use this to this day because it sure helps me, is my performance every night. And it was Neil, once again, from Rush, who had a quote once where he said, if you mess up during a particular song, just repeat it again, like in the next verse or wherever it happened to be. And that way it's not a mistake anymore.
There you go.
And people look at you and go, hey, you did it twice. That means it must have.
Yeah.
So I do that, if that ever comes up, I always remember that. And I use that to this day. So you do. You have to make, you got to change your game plan now and then in the middle of something. Something breaks or something does this, or one of us has a problem. We have to readjust to find out, how to either stay away from them so that they're getting all the focus and people are looking at them while they're messing up, or you help them somehow.
Gotcha. So is there like a head nod, or is it? Do you have to actually come over to them and say something, or is that how it works?
Usually, if I do something wrong, or I break something, or I mess up, just forget to hit something correctly, or Eddie, and we know each other so well in the parts. Usually, I just get Eddie to turn around and look at me like, "What the hell are you doing?" Or dude, I broke something. I'm sorry, I just messed up.
Right, exactly.
Well, actually, most of the time is I want to make sure I'm on the same page with him. I'm thinking, oh, did I do something?
It's been pretty easy to adjust through the years since we've been doing it so long. So
together for that long.
It's good. It is a nice security blanket.
I bet. That's great. That's great. Well, thank you so much for doing this.
Yeah, no worries.
Fantastic, man.
Thanks for having us.
Good to see you.
Yes, good to see you guys too. Thank you so much.